Commodore Björk Gunnarsdottir, personal log. There it is. I'm recording images for as long as the power cells last in my tricorder. My previous experiences here tell me that it will be about an hour before I have to abandon this hulk for another 100 years. The last time I saw this ship I was a junior lieutenant on board the Reykjavik. 4 years out of Starfleet Academy and my first official away mission as an accredited ship's engineer. We had no idea what this was. All we knew was it had once had Federation power sources. But it was like no Federation vessel known at the time. Now I am here, I recognize it as a Sovereign-class cruiser, contemporary with the intrepid yacht I had to borrow for this mission. So how is it possible that I last stepped aboard this thing 100 years ago? More to the point, which ship is she? As of today's date, the Federation database shows no sovereigns unaccounted for. Sigh. I hate temporal anomalies. Computer, begin scans. Copy all scans and this log into an emergency buoy and prepare to launch it toward Federation space on my command. Well, I guess I should do this by the book. My current location is not precisely known, but I am 3 days out of Nimbus 3 on a direct heading for the nearest location of where the Romulan border would be back in my day. The Reykjavik is in orbit of Nimbus, awaiting my return. Under normal circumstances I'd be here with a full ship's complement and an away team of 6 crewmen. These are not normal circumstances. 8472's incursion means we have no spare capacity for a wild goose chase like this. But I managed to convince the Admiralty Board that Reykjavik could patrol the Nimbus corridor without depleting our fleet strength. If 8472 should make a move. And so here I am, I know what I'm going to find, so why did I come? I guess it's to see if anyone else has been aboard or will have been. I hate temporal anomalies. Computer, confirm coordinates of the Rex transporter room. 145-183-197 Deck 10. 1 to transport. Funny. In my day you felt nothing during transport. 1 second you're on the transporter pad, the next you're somewhere else. No in between. I swear I'm conscious during transport using these modern machines. And now, if memory serves, I'll be in that awful rust-covered cavern of a room. A cavern compared to the size of the cabins and crawlways to be found on a Miranda-class courier such as Reykjavik. And of course, only now do I realize that I haven't brought any weapons with me. But I know what I'm going to find because I've been here before. And now that I'm here again it seems a lot smaller than I remember it. Of course, now I'm an admiral and spend all my time in 24th century briefing rooms and technical facilities. I've gotten used to the huge comfortable rooms and the soft, comfortable chairs and focus B. You'll have time to reminisce about that stuff when you're back in your quarters on the Reykjavik. Computer, begin auto beam out countdown. T-30 minutes and counting. Everything is exactly as I remember it, although now it seems oppressive and claustrophobic instead of the impossibly spacious, no pun intended. Okay. Down to business. Scans indicate the entire ship is totally evacuated. No atmosphere remains, but there are atoms of ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, and carbon ash floating where fires had once raged. I'd never believed the old space dogs' tales of cold fire until I'd been here. I'm preparing to leave the transporter room for Deck 10. Yes, I remember this. Vast empty corridors. The horrible layers of soot and rust, like dried blood over everything. This deck feels. Computer, identify source of the vibration coming through the deck plating. Deck 10. Starboard. Officer's mess. Proceed with caution. This is new. These tables and chairs were all laid out neatly last time I was here. Reminded me of the ancient tales of the Marie Celeste. Damn. Next time I'm bringing a phaser. The vibration in the deck is stronger here, coming from my left. Something in the galley? Someone? Without an atmosphere in here, all I can tell is that something is scratching the metal deck plates, like a spider in a matchbox or several. Me and my big mouth. Speak of a devil and ye shall find one. 5 in fact. 4 tiny red ones and a big blue one, apparently dead. The red ones are either eating the blue one or trying to revive it. They are completely ignoring me, which is fine by me. Odd how the webs seem to be laid out as if restraining the blue one. Like a trap? No time to figure it out. Got to move on while I still have time and power. I know where I'm headed next. The captain's quarters. This is where I found that impossible carriage clock, untouched by the fires and freezing vacuum which has ravaged everything else here. That self-same carriage clock which is, even now, sitting by my bed on the Reykjavik. Wouldn't it be funny if? Damn! If the carriage clock is here now, that means this ship hasn't been back to my time period yet. But if that's true, that means someone has to clean up the officer's mess before it disappears from here. But if that's true, that means I could hitch a ride back to my time and space and sigh. I hate temporal anomalies. Where now? Oh yes. Forward torpedo room. And there is the probe just where I found it, where I'm going to find it, going to have found it. Grr. The temptation to record a message to myself, warning me not to go on Reykjavik's last mission is almost overwhelming. But I'm obviously not going to, because the probe I found back then was wiped of all data. Just as this one is. Engine room. I remember being the first one into engineering. First thing I noticed was that the warp core had been ejected. And that the force fields covering the ejection port had failed, blowing the atmosphere, and anyone who might have been on these decks, into space. And now? Damn! This is new too. The warp core's gone, but there's a huge web draped across the core pit. And there are what look like cocoons, or possibly the spider's last meal. Let me check the warp management system. See if I can find anything I missed. I'm going to miss, back in the past. The plasma fires are new. As is the Borg vinculum in the starboard access manifold. The fires will burn out soon enough. But they'll have to run through their remaining fuel before I can get close enough to the vinculum to glean any useful data from it. One thing I do remember, which scared the bejesus out of me back then, was my first sight of. Yes. There she is. Bigger than I remember, but just as dead. The giant web makes sense now, but it'll be gone by the time I enter this room for the first time. Either it gets cleaned away, or it degrades. Either way, this ship will be here for some time. Impulse drive systems are as I remember them. Rust and dust everywhere. No power to anything, so I can't tell how long it's been like this. The plasma fires in the engine room aren't being fed from here then. The portside warp manifold access hatch, I know what I'm going to find there. If it's still there, then I don't want to see it again. If it isn't there, then there's nothing to see. But I can't avoid the bridge, even now. And that, if anything, was worse. Please let it be empty, please let it be empty. Inertial damper failure may be a quick way to die, but it's also the messiest. I still have nightmares about collecting tissue samples for the CMO. Please let it be empty. Thank heaven for her small mercies. Of course, this means that whoever those poor souls were I mopped up off the forward bulkhead haven't died yet. But the temporal prime directive says I can't interfere. More to the point, I need to be off this hulk before I end up being that thin layer of Focus B. It's not gonna be me because it wasn't human DNA we found. Let's find those logs. Damn. Nothing. Totally scrambled. No way of knowing if it was deliberate or the result of years in space without a deflector shield. Let's check out the shuttle bay and then I'm done here. What the? Computer, identify shuttlecraft at my current location.
There are 3 shuttlecraft within 20 meters of your current location. Starfleet transponders identify them as Shuttlecraft 420, Vertigo, Shuttlecraft 602, Dawn's Light and Shuttlecraft 585, Vendetta.
Vendetta? That's one of the Julia Ann's complement. Computer, scan for life forms.
1 life form detected. Current designation, Commodore Bjork Gunners.ir. Scans indicate the remains of 6 spider-form creatures and 1 indeterminate life form with a 20-band DNA helical structure similar to that found in species 8472.
I counted 5 spiders in the mess hall and 1 in engineering, so there's 1 unaccounted for. Vendetta looks to be operational, so let's take a look outside. I'll take her for a wide orbit of the hull and, strange. The ship's sublight engine housings are totally intact. Someone must have shielded them for an impulse maneuver. Ah! I see the Vertigo floating above the shuttle bay. She's been badly damaged. The cockpit is open to space. Looks like a disruptor blast to the front screen. And there's a spider floating alongside. That makes 7 spiders. The computer said 6 spiders and 18472. An imposter? I need to get back to Delta Fleet. This is crucial information. Computer, beam me aboard the yacht. The Vendetta will fly itself back to the shuttle bay under autopilot. Okay. Lock onto the Reykjavik and set course at maximum warp. Launch the mission buoy as soon as we are 1 kilometer from the ship. With luck I'll be home before it is.